Schedule 651-888-7800 to schedule your insomnia consultation today. You can also find us at androsent-sleep.com. That's androsent-sleep.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 68, tonight clear with a low around 48, and Thursday sunny with a high near 74. Spring has arrived and it's time to take a good look at your lawn. If there's bare spots or brown patches, Natural Lawn can help. For over 30 years, Natural Lawn has taken an environmentally friendly approach to lawn care to feed your soil without unnecessary chemicals. Beat the summer rush and visit naturallawn.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show for your Wednesday. Good to be with you. Matt and Patrick here today. Stein, the Jeff Stein Experience, will be joining us here in about 30 minutes, not 25 minutes from now. Patrick, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. Nothing new to report from yesterday, but things are good.
One thing, just really quick on the Twins. Okay, just really quick on the Twins, all right? That's like the fourth game I've seen them lose because of mismanagement by Rocco and the batting coach in the late innings. They gotta clean that stuff up. I mean, that can cost you the division stuff.
Yeah, fortunately, Cleveland's not doing any better right now.
Cleveland's it's our division to lose, but we can lose it. I mean, they've had bad teams win this stuff before. So, yeah. You got to beat the freaking White Sox. The freaking White Sox, man. There is, of course, Yankees, Red Sox. Those guys hate each other. Giants, Dodgers hate each other. Rangers and Houston are not exactly the best of friends either, nor is Kansas City and St. Louis. But I'll tell you what, for me, pound for pound, I despise and loathe with the fire of a million suns the freaking Chicago White Sox, man. Oh, God, just hate them. Am I letting out too much? I'm sorry. I like the Cubbies. Hey, Chicago, I like the Cubbies. I really do. Actually, and I think as a kid that grew up in the 80s, I think most of us like the Cubbies for some reason or the other. Maybe Ferris Bueller. But no, I like the Cubbies. Just can't stand the White Sox.
Tell us what you really think of the White Sox.
I am just, excuse me, I have the vapors. I don't really want to, no. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Once again, all praise Minnesota. Minnesota is one of the best states to live in, according to U.S. News and World Report. The media company's newest best states ranking puts Minnesota at number 5 and number 1 for infrastructure. Really? Minnesota did the worst in education and fiscal responsibility ranking at 21st. Now, I'm going to come back to that because I guarantee you it's like, it's the apocalypse is going to come from the mouths of calm, rational Republicans that just love vilifying their state. By the way, we won't miss you. Leave. Where are you guys at with the secession thing? Aren't you supposed to be taking the western half of those moocher counties and going to one of the Dakotas? Go. Off you go. Oh, no. It's going to save us a ton of money on the east side of the state. We will save a ton. Off you go. No. Oh, it will be hilarious when they describe what your education spending is going to look like now. But we'll let that be a surprise. Off you go. We won't miss you. You hate it here so much. Get the hell out. That's how I say it. Anywho, we rank fairly well here. Utah is number 1 state, Washington, Idaho, and Nebraska. Although Utah, now you can't get access to Pornhub in Utah. So I don't know. That could be you could be tanking your ratings right there. This is Minnesota's actually down a little bit. We're from 5 where we were at one time we were ranked 2nd. According to U.S. News, the rankings process drives on thousands of data points to measure how well a state is performing for its citizens. The data points are also weighted based on national surveys asking people to prioritize different subjects like healthcare and education. Full list of where Minnesota ranks. Crime and corrections, 20. Now, I know that education systems in America are not the best, but 20 is not even halfway down the list. As, once again, all you Republicans scream, hellscape! We're still 20th in crime and corrections. Got room to improve? Sure. but I'm going to guess. I'll put a guess out here that number 50 is either Louisiana or Florida on that one. The economy is number 15. Education is 21. Fiscal stability 21. Healthcare is number 15. Infrastructure number 1. Natural environment 7. Opportunity 9. So we ranked pretty well. We ranked how many times? We ranked 3 times in the top 10. Number 1 on infrastructure, really. And we ranked 5 times in the top. 6 times in the top 20. And then our lowest rating was 21 out of 50. So we're doing pretty well. The Midwest ranked highly. Other states as well. Iowa, Wisconsin were 7th and 8th, respectively. One thing that raised a lot of eyebrows was Florida's ranking at number 1 for education. But U.S. News says that Florida's high ranking in education is a result of its low tuition costs and graduation debt, as well as also good high school graduation rate. Now, I believe in a lot of those schools, they just teach a test, so it's not a surprise their graduation rate's high. And then, low tuition costs, I believe that you're talking about higher education. So then you're talking about your probably in-state rate for Florida. And I don't know what it is. I mean, some states are great. Some states really have inexpensive college for in-state residents, and it's amazing. And so, would I be surprised in Florida they would have it there? I wouldn't be surprised if you wanted the truth. So, but yeah, there you go. Minnesota's number 5 in the country. I want to say that it's Minnesota. I'm in my mind number 1 in my heart all the time. I love this state. I love Minneapolis, St. Paul. This city kicks ass in 1,000 ways from Sunday. It is just absolutely spectacular. Love being here. When you look at this list and realize the worst thing out of 50, well, and I can't say for sure, is it 51 with DC or 52 with Puerto Rico added in there? Not sure. But out of 50 for sure, we're better than every other state than average states in every category. Every single one. It's an amazing state to live in. And it only is getting better thanks to the DFL. Trust me, my 4 o'clock hour, I'm going to have some fun. All right. I'm going to have some fun in the 4 o'clock hour because, Republicans are losing their stuff. No. Control of their bowels. Yes, we'll go with that. That's a safe way to say it, I guess. They are just the rage that is firing in them. And I think it's all fake rage, mind you. I think it's all fake rage, but I think it's rage. Needless to say, is delicious. I'll get to that though. I'll get to that coming up here in the 4 o'clock hour. I did actually want to change subjects here, and I want to. This is a hard story for me for some reason, and I guess it's not really a surprise. The story of photos displayed in Guardian Angels Catholic Church in Oakdale showed Amara Strand as a baby, Amara singing, Amara helping with the food drive. But the first poster board Amara's mourners saw when they walked into the church for her recent memorial service highlighted her work lobbying. She spent her final months urging lawmakers to more strictly regulate chemicals made by 3M, whose massive global headquarters is less than 4 miles to the west. Many of the mourners attended Tartan High School with Amara, where cancer was so common that students joked about avoiding drinking from the water fountains. Amara Strand, 20 years old, died of cancer on April 14th. Amara and her friends and family wonder if the water contamination caused by 3M dumping toxic chemical waste in the East Metro for decades contributed to the cancer diagnosis for her and so many of her friends and neighbors. Among the grieving is Jessie Flanagan. She went to Tartan High School for a while, became good friends with Amara following an incident with Jessie's brother, Jacob Flanagan. After some students teased Jacob as he gave a presentation, Amara came home feeling guilty because she didn't come to Jacob's defense. She asked her parents how she should make it right, and Dana and Michael Strand told her to ask Jacob to forgive her. After that, the two became friends. Amara eventually befriended his sister, Jessie, and Katie, too. Jessie Flanagan said Amara was the only one who stood up for Jacob. Amara was someone who looked out for the underdog. In frizzy hair and a flower shirt, Amana Strand took the stage at Tartan High School down a piano, began playing and singing. It was 21 award ceremony for seniors, but Amara had bigger things in her mind. She sang the song and wrote called I Am the Strange. The first verse is, how do you cry when you lose your tears? While her classmates dealt with tests and dating and acting at age 15, Amara began getting headaches, nausea, nosebleed, and stomach pain. She was diagnosed with a type of cancer, a carcinoma, a variation of carcinoma. A nearly 15-pound tumor was extracted from her liver over the course of 2 surgeries that nearly killed her. Once again, I wanted to talk about this. The chemicals dumped there by 3M. Wow. This type of cancer strikes just 1 in 5 million Americans between the ages of 15 and 39. Most young patients die within 3 years of diagnosis. As she sang that night, Amara was 4 years in. Cancer is no stranger to the audience. In 2017, found that a child who died in Washington County between 2003 and 2015 was 171% more likely to have cancer than a child who died in the surrounding area. 171% more. Not twice as more. Not 20% more. 171. In the 1940s and 1950s, 3M disposed of waste from its chemical plant in 60 acres of undeveloped lowland, which is now Oakdale. Dumping waste into unlined pits was common then. In 2005, the state health officials announced that the chemicals had contaminated Oakdale's water. During her senior year, one of her best friends' mom died of cancer. Another girl's dad died of cancer. Another student mom died. And so many students got cancer that Amara started a support group. Jan Churchill started a support group for cancer. Jan Churchill, who taught math at the high school for 19 years, organized the first Relay for Life in 2002, and THS has since consistently hosted one of the leading fundraisers in the entire nation. Three days after Amara died, Jesse Flanagan and other friends and family went to the state capitol to urge state representatives walking into the House chamber to vote for a bill that would strictly regulate 3M chemicals because Amara couldn't. She spent the last weeks of her life frantically begging the lawmakers in St. Paul to do something, which is pretty much a direct line A to B. As there are lawmakers right now in this state who are trying to scream about the dangers of drag queen story hour and how much of a danger to your kids that is, we have these forever chemicals which are killing children at an astounding rate. Children shouldn't have to have 15-pound tumors removed from their liver. Children shouldn't have to, at 20 years old, hope that they still have the breath to go and beg politicians who will throw red herrings out left and right about what we are going to do to keep children safe, but refuse to act on this because, God forbid, a corporation's bottom line is hindered in any way by having to make sure the community around their facilities are safe. The mentality of many politicians, particularly many on the right, is that, well, it's so bad they should move. Yeah. Hey, remember me at campaign time, corporation? And you sit there and you say about, we care about kids, we care about kids, we care about kids. Prove it. Name the bill after her, pass this damn thing, and really show me you care about kids. I've had friends who have had children who have had serious illnesses. It's heartbreaking. I cannot even comprehend the societal and community weight of pain and suffering in Oakdale, of having to watch child after child and parent after parent die of a man-made contamination disease. You want to protect kids? All you tough guy Republicans, all you guys that screaming at the top of your lungs about protecting kids, prove it. Stop this from ever happening again. Lay down strict rules. Lay down jail time for executives that would even think about doing something like this. I understand some of this, and trust me, I've had to deal with and looked at numerous cases where in the 1900s, the 1930s, the 1950s, people would just dump stuff someplace and think that that was a good idea. We need to clean these messes up. We need to make sure that there are extreme penalties to prevent this from ever happening again. And God forbid, if you truly do care about protecting the kids, maybe, just maybe, we start putting limits on these forever chemicals and trying to prevent them from wiping out an entire freaking generation. Heaven forbid. Amara, you did good. You did really good. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you. I only wish most of the people that represent the citizens of Minnesota had 1/10 the heart that you do. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about outdoor fires. Sitting around a fire is the oldest, most basic form of human activity.
What's new is in the way fire is burned. We can show you how to burn cleaner with a lot less smoke.
The radiant heat and light from an open fire is unmatched. It kindles our spirits and connects us to the outdoors. And now it's easier to experience and enjoy.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs wood and gas burning fire pits and fireplaces. Let us help you experience an outdoor fire without all the smoke.
Come see the many ways you can enjoy a fire outdoors.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
With spring here, fun is waiting for you at the Park Tavern. The Park Tavern is a great get-together location for family and friends. The food at the Park Tavern is outstanding with something for everyone. Pizza, wraps, sandwiches, burgers, salads, entrees, pasta, and wings. Take advantage of the best bowling lanes in Minnesota and enjoy the full menu while you bowl. The Park Tavern has all the big games on its many screens, and if you're looking for a private event, the Park Tavern offers private event packages for any size group. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, spring fun has sprung at the Park Tavern.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. That song there will be a precursor of something I'll talk about coming up here in the 4 o'clock hour. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Over the objections of grieving loved ones, a 37-year-old Otsego man will not go to prison for crashing an ATV while drunk after leaving a weekend neighborhood party and killing his 12-year-old passenger. Austin Copsey, Copsey, was sentenced Tuesday in Wright County District Court. Now, I want to stop right there. As you know, I'm going to guess that you're not going to hear the Republicans who scream about light sentences whenever a Hennepin County case comes down, screaming about this. And why? Because Wright County, and yes, the suspect here is white. And so I'm going to guess all the same Republicans who are outraged the book is not being thrown at them are going to quietly sit there. I'm going to guess they're going to quietly sit there And like, sometimes you have to factor in other circumstances. I'm going to guess that. Because I'm going to guarantee you the outrage that you hear anytime a white person in a right-leaning area hears of a black person from the metro area getting a lighter than they think sentence. It's the apocalypse is coming, but they're not going to say a damn thing about this case. And I kind of get the feeling that this is a bit of a travesty. He pled guilty to criminal vehicular homicide charges in connection with the rollover wreck of July 16th that killed Jesse Hooper, also of Otsego. Copsey entered what is known as an Alford plea, meaning he maintained his innocence but acknowledged there was ample evidence to convict him. Judge Carey Wills set aside the 4-year term called for under state sentencing guidelines. Really? Really, Carey? Really, Carey? Really? Copsey will serve 6 months on work release, another 6 months on electric home monitoring in 20-day segments, annually starting on the anniversary of Jesse's death. Copsey will also be on probation for 10 years. We must complete 100 hours of community work service annually. Oh, that's a real stern finger wagging there, Carey. Ugh. Jesse's family has long opposed the terms of the sentence as agreed upon by the county attorney's office and Cosby's lawyer. I'm wondering, is this guy, is Copsey, is he some like kind of upper guy in the Republican Party or something like that? How in the hell do you get this kind of light sentence? There's a dead child here. Dear Lord. I'm objecting to the whole plea deal, Anthony Hooper, Jesse's father, said during court hearing last month. County Attorney Brian Lutz told the Star Tribune shortly after sentencing that he agreed to the downward departure due to genuine dispute about ability to prove beyond a reasonable doubt the defendant was the driver of the ATV at the time of the crash. Lutz declined to say who else might have been operating the ATV when it crashed. Copsey and Jesse were the only people on the machine, and the criminal complaint filed 3 days later noted that the defendant could not recall the events of what happened. Defendant went back. All right. Defendant went back and forth telling the deputy he was driving, but other times saying he was not. But then he also said he couldn't recall what had happened. A preliminary breath test taken soon after the crash found Copsey had a blood alcohol content of 0.19, more than twice the legal limit for driving in Minnesota. Depends on how long after his last drink he had that too. The test of his blood taken from about 2 hours after the crash came back with a reading of 0.167. Copsey's criminal history in Minnesota includes convictions for drunken driving, drug possession, and operating motorcycles with insufficient lights, according to court records. Where are all the conservatives on this one? Look at this guy. He's got a record. He's a chronic problem. Why isn't he rotting away the rest of his life in jail? You know why that they're not saying this? Because he's not black. That's why. Someone has to say it. And this doesn't make any damn sense. I mean, how does the judge throw out the state standard of 4 years? Well, he was really, really, really sorry. Was he? Oh, okay. He sounded like he was drunk. Yeah, just it's this whole case and the as you'd expect, the Republicans' complete and total lack of any kind of you don't see it. Are you up on Twitter right now? You seeing the Republicans out there saying this is a travesty, this should be changed? Are you seeing any of them? No. They're not going to do that because he's not black. That's why. Or then what is it? Oh, is it you don't want to upset your buddies? Oh man, I don't think it was a fair sentence either, but come on, man, he was a white guy. Is that why you're not doing it? You tell me. Why are you not? If it's not because if I'm wrong and it's not because he's not black that you're not condemning this, when you condemn it all the time when it's black people involved with a crime, what is it? Sheriff's deputies say they found Compsey side-by-side ATV in a ditch with the 14,000 block of Northeast 78th Street. Shortly after 10 p.m., several mailboxes were scattered around the crash scene. A witness who heard the crash said video from a security camera showed an ATV rolling over several times. Emergency responders declared Jesse dead at the scene. Deputies said Compsey's speech was slurred, and he acknowledged that he'd been drinking, according to the complaint. Compsey had left the party to pick up his daughter, returned to the gathering. Authorities say, along with his father, Jesse's survivor included mother and his brother. His obituary says he was happy to join alongside what you're doing and quick to offer his help. In short time, he became the neighborhood fix-it kid. Just another freaking tragedy. First of all, let's talk about the insane amount of deaths on ATVs and snowmobiles in this state. And the fact that, once again, the same people who are screaming, I care about kids, aren't doing a damn thing to try to address that problem. We'll talk about the fact that this whole case, I mean, once again, Judge Carey, how do you set aside the 4-year term called for under state sentencing guidelines? I mean, how is it not even at least 2 years? Unbelievable. And then once again, the feigned outrage that we always hear whenever it's a black person who gets a lighter sentence than expected in Hennepin County. All of a sudden, it's a white guy in Wright County, and all of a sudden, I don't really have time to talk about that. I got other things I got to talk about. I got to do other things. I don't want to talk about that. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. Change directions. Jeff Stein when he do come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950. Consumer Reports published their 2023 Best Vehicles Report, and Toyotas from Rudy Luther Toyota dominate the list again. The Corolla Hybrid, the Corolla Cross, and the Camry all top their best value new cars categories. The Camry Hybrid, the Highlander Hybrid, the Corolla Hybrid, and RAV4 Prime all ranked as best green choices. And my personal favorite, the Toyota Sienna, also ranked in the top of its class. Toyotas are not only gorgeous, they're best buys. Test drive one today by going to Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of Minneapolis on 394.
No matter if you're eating out or cooking something at home, EatLocalMinnesota.com has you covered with a list of locally owned restaurants and food purveyors. Locally owned Vinaigrette has been offering the finest olive oil and vinegar since 2009. Reintroduce yourself to all the many flavors by tasting before you buy. From darker white balsamic to cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil from all over the world, there is something for everyone. Vinaigrette, located at 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis, or at vinaigrettemn.com. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for fun. Enjoy the fantastic food like their pizzas, burgers, and sandwiches, the best bowling in Minnesota, their wildly popular outdoor patio, great drink specials, all the big games on their numerous screens, and it's the perfect place for your next private event, even large gatherings for over 200. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for everyone. Have fun at the Park Tavern, Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park.
Connections Radio Show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Fitz, your host of Connections Radio Show, and together we'll make the connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hey, it's Tom. Fossil fuels continue to have negative impacts on our environment. Luckily, there are more ways now than ever to use renewable energy in your home or business. All Energy Solar offers smart energy solutions like custom solar paneling, electric vehicle chargers, and energy storage. Solar panel systems can last for decades, meaning you can help the environment and cut back on electric bills for years to come. There are incentives and rebates available to most people who install solar energy, too. Last year, the federal solar tax credit increased to a 30% tax credit. This incentive can be used in combination with other incentives from your utility, county, or city. But don't delay or miss out, as many of these incentives are limited to only a certain number of people. So have a professional from All Energy Solar help you discover how solar can power up your property while saving on your energy costs. Call 800-620-3370 or visit allenergysolar.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 68, tonight clear with a low around 48, and Thursday sunny with a high near 74. Latunji's Palette is home of the best peach cobbler in the world. Their social enterprise business is built with purpose and fortified with love. Come and indulge in their gourmet desserts, sandwiches, and coffee drinks, including vegan and gluten-free options. Located at 1400 Park Avenue South in Minneapolis, or at latunjispalette.com.
Jeff. Jeff. J-E-F-F Jeff. J-E-F-F Jeff. J-E-F-F Jeff.
Jeff Stein's our national and presidential expert and noted author. You can find his books over at Next Chapter Books in St. Paul, as well as also totallyiowa.com, the Iowa Business Report, and the Iowa Politics Report come to us from KXEL Cedar Falls, Waterloo, where Jeff is located right now. Hi, Jeff.
Matthew, good afternoon. Hope all is well and that you've calmed down from the rant in the last segment. You were getting a little pink there.
I'm always a little pink. I don't know. I think it's marbling, I think it's called. So I want to start off with actually something that's completely probably hasn't been talked about much, but I think is just at least in my perception, is a major shift. And that was a little moment with Speaker McCarthy in Israel at a press conference and was confronted by a Russian journalist who basically seemed to be taking the attitude of, well, you're clearly talking to the Republican Speaker of the House. You're clearly on the side of Russia. When are we going to stop all this shenanigans with Ukraine? To which McCarthy very strongly condemned the Russians, told them they want the Ukrainian war over. They should leave. They're the ones who started it, and we're standing by Ukraine. Not even mixing words.
Yeah.
The significance of that, in my mind, is I think, and let's look at this internationally a little bit. I think what we're seeing is the true damage done by Vladimir Putin to himself and his country. That the fact that even the Republicans and who have kind of toyed with the idea of we really don't want to get involved are now very much against the Russians. I think it's clear to me that the Russians, this whole fiasco for them has cost them everything.
In every respect. I mean, it has cost them blood. It has cost them treasure. It has cost them whatever measure of respect might have been existent in terms of them on the world stage. I mean, it just everything wiped out. And you're right, for McCarthy to frankly take a strong stand on any topic is headline worthy, but especially on this one.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure it's if you're McCarthy, you're glad that Mitch McConnell gave you a full-throated endorsement for the statement. Do I want McConnell on my side? I don't know. But in any case, it was something that, again, a bit atypical for this speaker. And I don't know if he is emboldened because of the bill that passed last week, if he was emboldened because he spoke to the Knesset, or if he's just starting to get a little bit of a groove going on and feels comfortable making these kinds of statements because he's got the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he never said a thing when he was running for the job that could pin him down to any key issue.
Well, and I also think the fact that we did not hear immediately afterwards the extreme far right fringe, who has been very pro-Russia, basically they went quiet. And I think that this is, I mean, there's a story, I don't know if you've seen this, but Russia over the last few weeks has been canceling all their May Day parades. They have the main one in Moscow, but they have them all around the country.
Correct.
And they were canceling them basically because they don't have any military wear to march down the street with like they usually do. There was a story of an alleged attack in Moscow that they said was a drone attack there. It seems very sketchy. There are actually Russians, it seems like, on top of the building at the time this supposed, explosion happened, which was a fairly minor, it looked more like a firework than anything else. And there are people who are speculating they don't have enough weapons to do a parade in Moscow. And so they're kind of looking for ways to basically get this out of the way and, be able to cancel this, because quite literally everything they're sending down Cold War era Arctic machinery down to the Ukraine because that's all they have left.
Well, you've got a couple of things going on there. One, they were also afraid of protests
Yeah.
And again, because they couldn't control the public opinion. So you have the lack of military hardware, you have the lack of people to keep the public quiet. And when things are going bad, what do? Well, you set up a smokescreen. So they say it was an assassination attempt on Putin by a Ukrainian drone. Does any part of that story make any sense? There's no sense that the Ukrainian military has a drone that can go that far, much less. And I don't know much about this stuff. You served, bless you for doing that. You know more about this than I do. But don't you have to be in the same room with the person if you're going to assassinate them? In other words, here is this piddly little drone. And unless Putin was standing on the roof, waving, shirtless, waving, whatever they drop is going to do nothing. Unless it would obliterate the whole building, and you're not going to get that kind of munition on I don't know.
Well,
are we sure they weren't just delivering a pizza?
It could have been one of those Amazon flyers. Yeah, we don't
I'm
know.
saying, sure.
Well, the way these drones work and the way I've understood them is that you generally do have to be at least within like 20 miles of the target. And that's why the Ukrainians are able to make some hits into Russia or on those border areas. They've been able to get some strikes in there. There's also been some sabotage that's happened within Russia that's not been drone based, but they've been able to hit infrastructure, whether that's fires, whether that's train derailment, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
For them to do this in Moscow, now you got to remember, Moscow right now is basically a police state. They are so terrified of everything. There's really no way you're going to be able to have some guy sit on a corner and launch a drone and no one's going to see this. So there's that thing too. So it would have had to have been launched somewhere near Moscow. It would have had, and considering the amount of police presence, security presence, some military presence that around that city, I'm just not buying this. I think he's desperately just trying to. He is so scared of being out in public and someone taking a shot at him that I think he's just trying to find any reason in the world just to stay inside and hide.
Well, and once again, if you're trying to, I agree with what you said, but once again, if you're trying to marshal support for what is probably becoming an increasingly unpopular war, then don't you make it seem like those bad Ukrainians are coming after fearless leader, right? I mean, isn't that really what, and so it's, well, you see, this is an assassination attempt against Putin. If they get that spin out to try to whip up a little bit of national fervor, that may aid the Putin effort. But again, from the outside, it is so patently obvious that it makes no sense. You have to be the most diehard supporter to give it any credence whatsoever. And so that's the trick, though, with information. The rest of the world looks at this and says, you could have gotten a better drone at Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
But in country, are they able to ferret that out as the big lie?
Well, and by the way, one other last thing here too on this issue is that out of Crimea right now, the Russians are flying a bunch of stuff out of planes out of Crimea right now. And a lot of people are taking that as they can't defend it anymore. That the Ukrainians are now, because of all these Western weapons, are actually starting to get a major advantage here. And so they're just trying to get stuff out of there. Doesn't mean that they won't level that entire area to the ground, because that's what Russia does.
Sure.
And then leave. But still at the same time, that does not bode well for them either. It is amazing the amount of people who have been, especially on that far right, who in Tulsi Gabbard, who have been very pro-Russia, who all of a sudden have gotten real quiet lately, especially after McCarthy. You'd think that McCarthy statement would have drawn some ire, especially from the far right.
At the very least, and there are some who are not so much pro-Russia as this is not our fight. Now, the end result is the same, right? If you're not supporting Ukraine, you're supporting Russia. But the silence, yeah, it's just deafening. And I don't know if some of these folks have gotten the back channel of, well, you find out what we know kind of thing. I don't know. I still don't think McCarthy's all that strong as a speaker, despite the fact that he got the votes he needed last week. Let's see how things go next Tuesday with regard to debt ceiling. But yes, for him to, he was riding high. First U.S. speaker to talk to the Knesset in 25 years, 30, something like that. I mean, so it was, he was having a good week. And he was feeling full of it and said in no uncertain terms, as you noted, words that you just haven't heard from him in the past.
Turning our attention towards Trump here, the announcement today, and you and I have talked of all the legal issues Trump has got.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest trouble for him was the E. Jean Carroll case. He did everything in his power to stop this. There seemed to be copious amounts of evidence and witnesses. This was real trouble. This case has not gone well for him. His lawyer is basically like a character from a drunken Italian New York law firm or something. I don't know. It's like a caricature. His lawyer's like a caricature in this thing, and now he's announcing they're not even going to bring a defense. And I just it really is. I mean, I think he sees this. And it was really weird early in the trial last week when the day the trial started, Trump was basically online ripping on E. Jean Carroll. The judge said no. The next day, Eric went out there and said something, and the judge said, no, really, this ends now. and it's almost like their entire defense was basically just to tease her from the other side of the playground or something like that. I don't know what they're thinking. They are going to lose this case. I just don't see how they're going to win it.
Well, keep in mind, Joe Tacopino, his lawyer, well-known in media circles. He's been, a commentator for a long time because he gives good quotes and he fits a certain stereotype or a certain persona. How many people on the jury will that appeal to? I can't say, have no idea. The idea of what defense would you put on? Because if you think about it, is it not her word against his word at its base level? Now, did she then tell other people? Was there other evidence? I'm not dismissing that. But what would a defense be? No, it didn't happen. Well, are you going to put Trump on the stand under oath to say, no, it didn't happen?
No.
You could, and he could say
It'd be a
that.
nightmare for him. Yeah, you could.
Well,
but
because of what you open up.
yeah.
He's now on the stand. He's going to say, I categorically deny that this happened. Well, have you ever had any similar situations with other women? There we go, down the road. I mean, there's nothing to be gained by Trump himself testifying to deny the allegations. Beyond Trump testifying himself as to what did not go on in a dressing room in a department store, what defense is there? If you have witnesses that could say that she's a pathological liar, and here are the psychologist's notes, okay, maybe that, but you don't have that. And so what you do as the lawyer then is you try to poke holes in the case during their case. And when it comes your turn, you just basically say to the jury, why waste your time? We have nothing that we're going to present. We think the case speaks for itself. Now, is that a risky strategy? Yeah, but what's a riskier strategy is having Trump under oath. Yeah. Because if a judge opens the door, judge doesn't have to. Let me rephrase that. Let's say that Tacopino asks Trump a very narrow question, but he answers it somewhat broadly. The door is now open for the other side. And you're going to have to get popcorn because you just cannot watch this without snacking.
It's if he says something, I've never lied. Oh my God. Is that what he would? They couldn't. They can't put him on the line. I will say this: the one witness they were going to, they're saying has health issues, but I'm guessing the psychiatrist that was going to testify has seen how this trial is going and doesn't want any part of it.
Well, the health issues is the person saw the trial and got sick to their stomach.
Yeah, there's I don't want to be the person get in front of this train. Okay, so say the guilty verdict comes on down. Mm-hmm. It's not going to his most loyal supporters are not going to change their mind. They'll think it's a fix, QAnon, whatever the case may be.
Well, let's say it's a New York jury. The fix is in. The judge, they're you either know what you're getting or you can, and you don't care, right? That's been the thing with a Trump voter. You either know about the personal background and you don't care, or you're going to say that the fix was in on this and it's not going to matter. You're right about that.
Well, and this is not, he's not going to pick up any Democratic votes for any reason. It's the independents and the moderate Republicans who are starting to wake up and realize Trump is not good for their party. I don't think that it's going to endear him to them anymore by basically having a convicted rapist, as their candidate. I mean, it becomes even a harder sell. And whereas, I mean, I still think that there's nothing stopping Trump becoming the nominee it's just I've got to imagine at some point there's just a pure exasperation because, you're not going to win over the majority by having this kind of baggage. And this is, once again, this is just one of the legal cases against him.
Well, and keep in mind a couple of things. The vast majority of Americans don't want a sequel of the 2020 election. They just don't. They don't want to go through it. They don't want either candidate. And so this certainly doesn't help that. Now, I'm going to make a small correction. He's not going to be convicted of rape. He will be found liable for damages in a civil case. Now, here's why that's,
right.
And I only make that distinction not to pick, because the act is the same. But a criminal conviction would carry, I think, a lot more weight with certainly independents, but even Republicans. A civil suit for damages decades after the fact in New York, I mean, all of those things, you can disclaim it. 12 unanimous jurors in a criminal conviction, that would really make a difference, and they don't have that case. So again, I don't think it helps him by any stretch. An actual criminal conviction would be much worse. And I'm not, that is said as neutrally as possible. It's not suggesting anything about the merits of the case. It's just making a distinction.
We'll take a break. When we come on back, let's talk about the post-Tucker world, because this actually is a big kind of crater that's just been left as far as right-wing messaging goes, and we want to talk a little bit about that. Jeff Stein joining us for his usual Wednesday visit, 952-946-6205. It is the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
The St. Paul Art Collective is thrilled to announce the return of the St. Paul Art Crawl this spring. And new for 2023, the St. Paul Art Crawl will now span 4 weekends through May 7th. The St. Paul Art Crawl will feature different districts each weekend, so you will have more opportunities to see more artists and performances. The event will showcase the work of local artists from 10 distinct art districts in St. Paul. This year's crawl promises to be bigger and better than ever, with 26 different venues hosting hundreds of talented artists, live music, dance, and delicious local food. As the longest-running art crawl in the United States, the St. Paul Art Crawl is an iconic event for art lovers and collectors alike. You can explore the city's diverse neighborhoods and experience the unique creative visions of each artist. So wander the St. Paul Art Crawl and discover the wonder of it all. That's every weekend through May 7th. For more information about the Spring Art Crawl and how to donate, visit stpaulartcollective.org.
This is Ross Stadheim, partner at MJSB Employment Justice. At our firm, we specialize in cases where our clients tried to do the right thing by reporting illegal or unethical conduct and were demoted or fired. There are laws in place that protect people like you who tried to do the right thing by reporting a problem but were retaliated against. At MJSB Employment Justice, we are fearless advocates who will protect your rights and obtain justice, whether it be a Fortune 500 company or something smaller.
Be heard. You deserve better. Contact us today at mjsbjustice.com.
Hey, Cudahy, this is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. On our show, we talk about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with Native news that you won't hear anywhere else. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weeknights from 6 to 7 p.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Jeff Stein joining us for his Wednesday visit. Jeff, the second he was let go and there was a reference to a text message or a message that Tucker Carlson had sent, which was the cause of his removal from Fox News, you knew at some point this was going to get out. I'm going to just read a little bit of this here, and it is pretty. I don't blame Fox for dumping him at this point. Reading from, this is Tucker Carlson in a text. A group of Trump guys surrounded an Antifa kid and started pounding the living blank out of him. It was 3 against 1 at least. Jumping a guy like that is dishonorable, obviously. It's not how white men fight. Yet suddenly I found myself rooting for the mob against the man, hoping they'd hit him harder, kill him. I really wanted them to hurt the kid. I could taste it. He goes on to say, hey, that's not me, but needless to say, I can imagine the executive class of Fox News going, what? And
Well, he's
realized
going
it
to
was-
take over the 5 o'clock slot on the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, right? With that
No,
kind of, you're going to bring him in a heartbeat, aren't you?
I mean, it's RT wanted him. Russia Today wanted him. They were offering him a job immediately. I don't know I don't know where he'll end up. I will say this from the Glenn Beck and Bill O'Reilly school: you're not going to have nearly the audience that you had before, but doesn't mean you're not going to make a lot of money.
Right.
But still, it is. First of all, it's very understandable why Fox News let him go. I mean, you read this is pretty horrendous, correct?
It is, but I still maintain it was the text that he sent criticizing the Murdoch family that really got him fired, because they'll put up with a lot until it starts affecting them. But remember with O'Reilly, there were all sorts of rumors. There was all sorts of lawsuits. He settled a lawsuit for sexual harassment privately. Fox was not even named. O'Reilly paid like $32 million. And the problem was the New York newspaper started covering it and then drawing comparisons between O'Reilly's behavior and Rupert Murdoch, shall we say, colorful history. And then he was gone because then the story went away. So you start criticizing the family, or the family starts looking bad, then you're gone. Now, I am happy to tell you, though, because Father's Day is coming up, and I wanted to get you the Tucker Carlson quarter zip pullover on his website.
Wow.
And it's still available for $155. It is. 2X work? Because I can get you one. Here's the thing. This is what's so dumb.
That's a lot for kindling, man. I'm just going to let you know.
Well, when you think Tucker Carlson, you think fishing, right?
Yeah. That's what.
Because this is what I can't figure out. The logo. And again, none of the stuff he's selling on the website is for the show. And none of it is Fox News. It's his website. And the logo has his name with a fishing rod and reel. Tell me how this makes any sense whatsoever. I mean, if I went to mattmcneil.com and I got myself a $155 quarter zip pullover, I'd expect an outdoorsy image. I don't really get that from Mr. Carlson, who he must have had a sweet deal with the network because he still has their clips on his website. He must own the rights to the material, and he's just sitting back because the last I heard from people who supposedly know, he's still under contract. They said you're off the air, but they're still stroking big checks every 2 weeks to him for the length of the contract, and that will keep him off the air.
Carlson is beloved by a lot of people on the far right. He was,
It's not universal, but some.
But he was probably the biggest face and voice of right-wing television for sure. And it's interesting because we've talked about OAN and Newsmax and how they got booted off of DirecTV, and they're kind of a mishmash of where they're available. Most of it's online and stuff like this. It's going to be interesting. How do you think this affects how conservatives get news? Because once again, there's a lot of people that loyally every night tuned in, and that's clear by the amount of ratings drop they've had on Fox News.
Well, they're trying to find what other sources are out there and just waiting to see what happens next. Does he land somewhere else? You can still get O'Reilly every night. You can get back. You can subscribe to his stuff. So the ones who leave don't have the audience that they used to in the glory days, but because they own the properties, every listener or every viewer is paying a fee, and they're making bank like crazy. And so it depends. What did he want to be when he grew up? Did he want to be the most listened to or the richest? Mm-hmm. Because he may have just given up one for the other.
Well, and Alex Jones is the example of that. Although he's got all of his legal problems and he's a horrible human being, he makes an insane amount of money selling those freaking dietary supplements and stuff. He's not exactly going check to check. He still is doing pretty good.
I was going to say he's a horrible human being, but other than that,
yeah, he's the scum of the earth. But hey, how about that polka? Jeff Stein, once again, find his books over at Next Chapter Books and TotallyIowa.com. I'll post the Iowa Politics Report a little bit later on. Thanks, Jeff. We'll talk to you next week. Hour 2. That's coming up next.
Hey, Twin Cities, Latunji with Latunji's Palette Bakery and Cafe, located at 1400 Park Avenue South in the Elliott Park community. We invite you to discover the best peach cobbler, coffee, soups, salads, and sandwiches in the Twin Cities. And also, you can find my delectable treats at North Market Grocery Store, Annex Farmers Market, Plant-Based Pop-Up, Bobby and Steve's, Handsome Hog, and our website, latunjispalette.com. That's latunjispalette.com.
Escape to the natural beauty of nature at the We Are the Medicine Black Moon Gathering event May 19th through 21st at Champion Valley in Lakeville. This wellness gathering offers a safe space for interactive education, healing, and relaxation in nature. And connect with others while respecting the sacred land. Join the supportive community by camping at the We Are the Medicine Black Moon Gathering May 19th through 21st at Champion Valley in Lakeville. Tickets at edgemagazine.net.
Come on, you know it's true. Work is almost bearable when the Stephanie Miller Show is on. AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Ed Donahue. The Federal Reserve raised its key interest rate to the highest level in 16 years. The AP Sagar Magani reports there may be a break in these increases.
Inflation pressures continue to run high.
So Chair Jerome Powell says the Fed again boosted its benchmark rate by a quarter point. It says while there's no decision on suspending hikes, Powell at least confirmed the possibility. Last month, the Fed said it anticipates more rate hikes. That sentence is gone from its latest statement.
Instead, we're saying that in determining the extent to which additional policy firming may be appropriate to return inflation to 2% over time, the committee will take into account certain factors.
It's not jargon. Powell says it's a meaningful change.
We're no longer saying that we anticipate.
The central bank's been under pressure to suspend the rate hikes, which contributed to 3 big bank failures. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Stocks finished lower, the Dow down 270 points. One person was shot and killed today in an office building in Atlanta. 4 others were wounded. Mayor Andre Dickens says the suspect is still at large, and if you see him,
do not approach, but you are to call 911.
Police Chief Darren Shearbaum says the suspect in Atlanta is Dion Patterson.
We believe he carjacked a vehicle a short distance away and was able to flee the scene as the law enforcement agencies were descending on this area.
A woman whose daughter and 3 grandchildren were among 7 bodies found on a rural Oklahoma property said sheriff's investigators told her son-in-law, a convicted sex offender, shot all 6 victims in the head before killing himself. Lawmakers began voting on a Republican package of abortion restrictions that would tighten North Carolina's ban on the procedure from after 20 weeks to 12 weeks. A cloud of questions hangs over Russia's claim 2 Ukrainian drones flew into the very heart of Moscow under the cover of darkness, reaching the Kremlin before they were shot down at the last minute. This is AP News.
Enjoy cleaner, safer, and more private internet daily. Be more cyber zen. For a limited time only, get our special offer at nordvpn.com. With a few simple clicks, NordVPN will block online trackers and hide your virtual location. It will secure your devices from malware-infected downloads and block access to malicious websites. Enjoy internet without trackers. Internet without malicious websites. Internet without malware-ridden files. Imagine your data more secure, your connection protected. Be more cyber zen. Take advantage of our special offer now at nordvpn.com. NordVPN, cybersecurity built for every day.
Get paid to upgrade. Warner Stellian will buy your appliance for $50 during our trade-in sale. No one else saves you more time from shopping to free professional delivery like Warner Stellian. Put us to the test. Shop Minnesota family-owned WarnerStellian.com.
Call Zero Res now and take advantage of the Spring Flash sale and get a free hallway with any of their carpet cleaning packages with 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $129. Don't wait for the weather. Book now to beat the rush. 952-ZERO-RES or ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special.
Hey, it's Patrick. If you love your home, then you know it's a place that's so much more than just a place to keep your stuff. It's a place where some of the most treasured memories of your life have been made and will continue to be made. If you love your home, then you know there is only one carpet cleaning company to trust with your carpet, tile, and upholstery and your air duct cleaning, and that's My Cleaning Heroes at Zero Res. If you haven't tried out Zero Res or it's been months since your last deep clean, then now is the time to call and take advantage of the spring flash sale and get a free hallway with any of our carpet cleaning packages with 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $129. Don't wait for the weather. Book now to beat the rush. Call Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Zero Res, backward or forward, spells the same.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 68. Tonight, clear with a low around 48. And Thursday, sunny with a high near 74. Spring has arrived and it's time to take a good look at your lawn. If there's bare spots or brown patches, Natural Lawn can help. For over 30 years, Natural Lawn has taken an environmentally friendly approach to lawn care to feed your soil without unnecessary chemicals. Beat the summer rush and visit naturallawn.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show on your Wednesday. Matt and Patrick here. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. Patrick, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has announced their entrance, the new ones that are going in. Missy Elliott's going in. Willie Nelson, Sheryl Crow, Chaka Khan, Soul Train creator Don Cornelius, the late George Michael, all have been inducted along with Kate Bush. Finally reaching in and getting into there. The Cleveland-based institution announced Wednesday the artists and groups entering the hall as a class of 2023, a list that includes the Spinners, Rage Against the Machine, DJ Kool Herc, Link Wray, Al Cooper, and Elton John's longtime co-songwriter, writer Bernie Taupin. It is the comment here, when you go from Link Wray, who was one of the first influencers, to Missy Elliott and Kate Bush, and the Spinners and Rage Against the Machine and Willie Nelson, you have it is a diverse group. You can't deny that last song. They do a song at the end, all of them together. That's going to be an interesting song.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll, certainly be looking forward to it.
You got to do, what song you have to do at the end? On the Road Again, man. You got to do, that is such an iconic song now. Can you imagine Rage Against the Machine, Kate Bush and Missy Elliott doing On the Road Again with Willie Nelson?
Absolutely. You'd never forget that.
Did you see the footage of Willie Nelson 90th birthday on the stage?
I did not see that footage. I know he was having a 90th birthday party, but I didn't see the video.
Oh, God. He's just fantastic. My dad was a big fan of his. I'm a huge fan of his. I think Willie Nelson's great. His first album, 1962. If I'm not mistaken, isn't that before both the Rolling Stones and the Beatles?
I think the Beatles might have had their first in 62, but I'm not totally sure.
Somewhere September 24th, 62 is, and Then I Wrote was his first album out. A 61-year career. Unbelievable. Just fantastic. Well, I should say it's a 61-year album career. I guarantee you he was out touring and doing shows. If you've ever seen early Willie Nelson footage, and you can go up and find it on YouTube, of all these country shows that he show up on and stuff like this, it's not Willie, man. It's this very traditional Grand Ole Opry style country singer, and he's good. I mean, he's very good. But he became in that late 70s, you remember I was talking about watching Smokey and the Bandit, when country, that Southern culture became a real popular thing from the late 70s into the early 80s, and a lot of the Southern musicians crossed over, and where the country musicians crossed over, Kenny Rogers and Eddie Rabbitt and stuff like that. Willie kind of converted from, he still was a very country influence, but Americana folk was really kind of, I think he's more Americana, kind of like Mellencamp. Mellencamp became far more, I think, Americana.
Yeah, I totally agree with that idea.
Fantastic. Willie Nelson, God, how the heck is he not already in there? If you think about it for 2 seconds, like, wait a second, Willie Nelson wasn't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Yeah. That's an easy layup. Can I give credit where credit is due? Kate Bush. I am a huge fan of Kate Bush. I have talked about her for many years. Bush was a nominee last year, didn't make the final cut. She got in this year basically because of a wave of popularity because she was featured on Stranger Things with Running Up That Hill. And she became, I think, is it the longest stretch from the original release of a song to the song hitting #1 worldwide was because of Stranger Things. And I can remember her after when this all was all happening, she had no idea. I don't think she knew that much about Stranger Things, and I don't think she had any idea what was coming her way. She as well today was very humbled by this. If she shows up, I might have to go. Kate Bush is a bit of a recluse. Now, if you are wondering, like, who? Kate Bush was discovered by Pink Floyd in the 70s. She had a few kind of crossover hits in that early MTV generation, which was my generation, the early 80s. Because they were trying to fill up so much time because they still played music videos on MTV, you saw a lot of British acts, and Kate Bush was one of those that she was already very much experimenting with video and dance, and she did a lot of that stuff, and she was kind of almost I don't want to say a mainstay, but they played a lot of her videos on MTV. That's where I first saw her. And I would highly encourage you to go get the album The Dreaming, which I believe was 1983. That album single-handedly launched the entire alternative women music movement. The influence on that album is amazing. I will even go as far as saying that if you have someone who has never heard Kate Bush and you put on The Dreaming right now and you played it for them and you told them it's a brand new album, they would have no idea it wasn't brand new. It still is that cutting edge. It still is that good. It still is that influential. It in my mind, there's a few artists that, sure, she didn't top the charts, but the influence that Kate Bush had in music was unbelievable. And this alternative pop that is out there. I mean, to a point, it's almost the fact that she was out there doing the dance and the videos and stuff like that is almost a precursor to social media even. I mean, it is kind of interesting. She is a bit of a recluse now. She doesn't do a lot of touring. She doesn't do a lot of shows. She did in Hyde Park a few years ago, a series of concerts, which were supposedly going to be her kind of farewell concerts. I tried to get a ticket, trying to call overseas to London to try to get tickets, not easy. And I tried to get tickets and I couldn't because I would have flown over to go see that. But, if she actually comes to Cleveland and participates in I'm sorry. I've always loved her, and I might have to sell a kidney to get a ticket into that event. Oh, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So I want to talk about the Republicans right now because they're not doing. Are you guys okay? I don't think you guys are okay. You guys are getting a bit irrational. A few years ago, I don't know if you remember this, Patrick, but I got into a bit of a Twitter argument with, of all people, Larry the Cable Guy. Do you remember that?
I don't think I was here, but I think I've heard the story.
Yeah. Larry was upset. I posted on the Friday link on Progressive Citizen X blog. I posted the David Cross takedown of Larry the Cable Guy, basically ripping on him about this interview that he did that basically portrayed him as this Southern guy doing his get her done, working class, this thing's like, dude, you came from the suburbs of Florida. You came from, you didn't come from a farm out in Alabama or something like that. And he rips on him and he kind of takes him to task. And if you've not seen this, the David Cross takedown of Larry the Cable Guy is exceptional. It's a 2-part, it's about a 20-minute video. There's 2 parts to it, but it is great. you probably want to watch that. Now, that being said, no one was more shocked on a Friday night to all of a sudden have, sweet Lord, Larry the Cable Guy is responding to my Twitter thing. And he was mad that I had brought this David Cross video up. And I kept saying to him initially, it's like, I mean, if video is wrong, I'll take it down. Is this wrong? And he was, you keep doing that. You keep doing that. And of course, all of his blind supporters are coming after me. All of a sudden, I had like all of a sudden 60, 70, you're horrible. You're a bad guy. I'm like, dude, man, I just posted a thing. What the hell is Larry the Cable Guy doing on a Friday night surfing Twitter? Seriously, what are you doing? Don't you have like a triple? You got Disney money, man. You're Mater. You got Disney money. You got to have like a triple decker pool on your house to hang out with kids. What are you wasting your time with me? And I know that I'm saying this. Why are you wasting your time with me? I'm just some radio guy in the Twin Cities. I'm not exactly the make or break for anyone. You know, what made you feel like this was a good idea? Because it did not end well for Larry the Cable Guy. Because Larry the Cable Guy was a guy who has put forward this entire notion of that he's for the working class. And at the end of it, he basically went, oh, I guess you're just doing one of those board shift jobs. I mean, very working class radio stuff. And I'm like, say, wait a second here. No, I'm an on-air host. Oh, I bet you do the weekend shift. I bet you having to get up early and do the weekend shift. It's like, dude, are you dogging on me because you think I'm doing the basic board offering shift, the blue collar stuff at a radio station? You badmouth me? Isn't that your entire persona, that you're a blue collar guy? Yeah, that it was at that point, that he basically couldn't. When I started questioning that, he got out of that conversation real fast. But it was true. It was kind of one of those things where it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I am a talking chimp. I am. I do political commentary on the radio, and I'm pretty good at it. At least I like to think about it. I've been doing it for 13 years, so I got to be doing something right. But, you are a successful actor, regardless of what your background is or who you are as a person. No one can deny the fact that you've had success. So what are you doing there? What are you doing trying to get into a Twitter spat with me? Still one of the things that made me kind of roll my eyes. I just couldn't believe it. That is why it is insanely funny, the Republicans today. Because when I talk about Republicans are not all right, the first thing I am noticing with Republicans in the state of Minnesota is the amount of them who are spending copious amounts of time on social media trying to be a troll. Now, it's weird, man. It's weird. You're an elected official in St. Paul. My two elected officials are Cheryl Joachim and Ron Latz. Very happy with them. Big fans of theirs. If all of a sudden I got up on social media and saw either one of them getting into a petty Twitter argument with a right-wing radio host, I'd be like, what are you guys doing? No. Don't waste your time. That's beneath them. It's supposed to be beneath them because you're an elected official. You're supposed to be there. You're supposed to be there to represent people. You're not supposed to be there so you can surf Twitter all day long. It really is kind of pathetic. And I don't quite, I've said this before. Republicans today, Republican trolls, their idea of debate is basically the equivalent of kicking open the door of your house, going to the middle of your living room, dropping trowel, going to the bathroom in the middle of your floor, pointing at it with a smile on your face and saying, you've got to like it. That's what they think debate is. When people say, you block a lot of people, say, dang right I do. They are not worth my time. They are so beneath me I mean, okay, so I could spend time talking with my child or doing some gardening or walking a dog or, reading a book or going for a hike in the woods. I could be doing these things. None of which anything you have to say doesn't supersede that. And so as opposed to you, and one of the things that they'll do is if you do not block them, they will constantly go, hey, do the "are we there yet" sort of thing, trying to get your attention. You haven't responded. You haven't responded. You haven't responded. I just block them. Done and seen. Trust me, you are not worth talking to if I can look at 3 or 4 words you have typed, not said, typed. And I can basically say, you're not worth my time. I generally don't block politicians. I remember a few years ago, I think it was like 2 years ago, Paul Gazelka tried to jump on my Facebook page and try to get snarky. And dude, I smacked him back so hard. Never once showed up again. I just had 2 weeks ago, Gruenhagen showed up on my page. Was it, or it was last Monday, a week ago, Monday that I was talking about that. Gruenhagen shows up on my page. And I basically level that guy. And part of what I've said in both of those times is, what are you doing? You're a senator, you're a House rep, whatever you may be. Is this really what you think politicians do, is try to get into Twitter wars or Facebook wars or social media spats with left-wing media personalities? No. There's no value to what you're doing. I will say this, Walter Hudson, the guy up in St. Michael, God, he is so desperate for my attention. I have not blocked him, but I muted him because he is so desperate for my attention. I don't have to give it to you, man. Walter, I've seen a few of your posts. I've seen some of your speeches. You're not worth my time. But the reality is this, you could easily come back and say, well, I'm not worth your time. And you know what? That's a fair argument. And you know why? Because you're a House rep in Minnesota. If you're spending more time trolling people online, you really probably should quit your job as a rep and go basically try to be, I guess, a pundit. Or just a loser that lives in his house that basically all you do all day long is, got a zinger on that lefty. You have nothing to offer. You are, and I don't quite know what to do with you because I don't want to block you because you are a House rep, but you don't have anything to offer anyone. So I just mute you, man, and I'm done with it. And that's just the reality. I'm not, and I know this might be hard for you to understand. I'm doing this for your benefit. I do this for a living. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Hell, I've seen tweets where you contradict yourself 3 times within the same tweet. I'm sure you fall in love with your own press and your own press clippings and stuff like this and think that you're some whiz at this. This is beneath you, man. I'm trying to help you by ignoring you because as opposed to a troll, well, I'll just block them. You're a sitting House rep. You're supposed to have some level of decorum and dignity. You're supposed to at some point. So that's one side of it. That's one side of the problem that they have is that it assigned to me that the Republicans are not right is that there is this rise in people who are just trying to be internet trolls. That's all they think that this is what House reps and senators do. And let me say, I've been doing this for 13 years. This is new. I had 10 years, and I hardly ever heard from a politician on a social media post. And now all of a sudden you think this is some sort of badge of honor. It's pathetic. I mean, it really is pathetic. Especially when you don't, it's really weird. It's one thing when a troll wants to kick open your door, go to the bathroom in the middle of the floor, point at it with a smile on their face and say, you have to like it. It's another thing when a House rep or a senator wants to do that. And you're like, wow, really? And they think that that's some sort of badge of honor. So you can tell Republicans are furious because of the rise of this. There are some other things too, which are I'm noticing. I'll get to those in just a second. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950. Many car dealers will quote safety stats, but firsthand experience really tells the story. When I bought my 2017 Sienna from Rudy Luther Toyota, the service manager told me it was one of their safest vehicles ever made. Then I saw it for myself. A car hit me at 35 miles per hour, and the Sienna saved me. Its design absorbed the collision, and although it took a wallop, I walked away, and I now have a 2022 Sienna. When it comes to safety, I personally vouch for Toyotas. Be safe and get one today at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Think your company's safe? Your staff is working from home, right? As I speak, cyber criminals are mounting attacks across the country. Remember, when we're weakest, cyber criminals attack. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
2023 is here, and you can make it the year of the Eagle with the National Eagle Center. You and your family can enjoy exciting Eagle experiences, including field trips, private habitat tours, and exclusive behind-the-scenes tours. Meet live eagles up close, view bald eagles and golden eagles in the wild, and receive personal one-on-one education with dedicated and knowledgeable Eagle experts as you journey into the world of eagles like never before. Learn more and plan your unforgettable Eagle experience today at nationaleaglecenter.org/experiences.
Hey, John, I heard you're turning 65 this year. Time to start comparing your Medicare insurance options.
I'm so overwhelmed with all the different Medicare companies and plan designs. I don't even know where to begin.
Really? I worked with CompareYourMedicare.com, and they made my Medicare decisions seem easy.
Oh, really? What do they do?
CompareYourMedicare.com represents several of the top Medicare insurance companies in Minnesota. A local licensed agent will help you compare Medicare plans to determine which products best meet your needs and budget.
Hi, this is Jared with CompareYourMedicare.com. We're a local small business that prides itself in helping our community with their Medicare needs. Medicare is complex, but it doesn't have to be. Whether you're planning to retire early or work past Medicare eligibility at age 65, give us a call. We can guide you through how and when to apply for Medicare. Go to CompareYourMedicare.com or call 952-465-0074 to schedule a consultation. CompareYourMedicare.com is part of the Minnesota Health Insurance Network of Agents.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. So one thing I've noticed as Republicans, a sign that they're basically breaking, is that all of a sudden they're devolving into internet trolls, which is really weird. Another thing is their arguments are wildly irrational right now. And I'm hearing things like, one of them was like, we're going to undo everything you've done. I said, really? You're going to campaign. You're going to campaign on making kids, hungry, and getting rid of paid family leave if that passes, and unlegalizing marijuana if that happens, and basically taking away women's rights in abortion, and basically throwing every transgender person out of the state that comes here. That's what you're going to campaign on. Because I can tell you right now, you're not going to win on that strategy. You're just not. But it doesn't stop them. We're going to undo everything you've done. And you're like, do you guys realize the Democrats just won campaigning they were going to do all this stuff? And so you basically doubling down saying we're going to undo everything. First of all, the next election up is the House election, the Minnesota House election. You've got Klobuchar as a statewide race, and you have on top of that, you're going to have a presidential race, and it's likely going to be Donald Trump as your top of the ticket. So I don't know if you're necessarily going to win back the numbers you think they are. I think it's a matter of fact, and I talked about this earlier this week. I said, how long till we start seeing ads for the Republicans saying, hey, you can vote for Joe Biden and Amy Klobuchar. Just vote for this Republican too, because I'm like a Democrat. I mean, it's going to be, I think you're going to see that. They're going to have to, because I think the numbers are going to be so bad for them. The final thing I've noticed is, have you noticed how many Republicans are just screaming at the top of their freaking lungs now? That is them basically having a very hard time dealing with the reality that they have lost, and that the Democrats, that the same Republicans who basically last year could have passed a ton of bills that would have basically given them a lot of say in how things were done, insisted, no, we're going to win everything in 2022, and then we're going to jam this all down your throat. And it didn't go your way. And so now here you are, and you're in the House every day, and you're bidding, if I can be blunt, even though you're not being treated as poorly as you treat Democrats when you're in the majority, you aren't. You guys, when you're the majority, are just absolute jackasses. I mean, jackasses. You just are. But now you're out there and you're upset, and you're basically being told, well, this is the bill we're going to vote on, and you're like, this is so unfair. You're screaming. And you just scream all the time. If I may, if I can make a suggestion, if I can, scream. You heard me. Scream. You heard me. Come on. Scream. Do you know how much I'm enjoying this? You know how much I'm enjoying the same political party putting a mute button into the Speaker of the House seat so they could mute Democrats when they were the Speaker? Can I tell you how much I'm enjoying watching you guys scream? The same Republicans who had a super spreader COVID event and then did not tell the Democrats you had an outbreak within your own caucus as you came back to the scream. Seriously, scream. I love it. I love it. Because if anything, this just shows you how badly you guys have lost. And you know it. So all you have left is, do it, man. Scream. Scream for me, man. I love it. I love it. You guys have been the problem for so damn long. And now you're getting it back at you. And as you sit there and annihilate any chance you have of getting votes in Generation Z, good luck with that. This is going to be the new normal. So yeah, I'm loving this. It just shows your immaturity, your unprofessionalism. It just shows me everything that you are. You're just pathetic losers that have no other recourse outside to scream like you're a 7-year-old that didn't get a candy bar. And I love it. Scream for me, Republicans. Scream. That tells me we're doing things right. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Jeff, hold on. I'll get your call after the break. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we have wood stoves that qualify for the new 30% income tax credit. A great opportunity to get an efficient stove and heat with renewable energy.
Right now, avoid supply chain delays, avoid the fall rush, avoid bad weather installation, and save money because we are now discounting the price on all chimney parts you need for installation for any of Woodland's new stoves and fireplaces.
We can help you with the stove and the chimney planning. Want to do it yourself? We will help you determine all the parts needed with our installation know-how. We have been installing wood stoves and fireplaces for over 45 years.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood, gas, and electric units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. Save money. Take advantage of the spring and summer chimney discounts when you buy any fireplace product right now at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Our station is located on a marsh, and we do our best not to disturb that environment. So I was thrilled to discover Natural Lawn. Their safer products and soil tests ensure that your lawn will be healthy, lush, and green. I don't even have to worry about bringing my furry friend to the station, thanks to the great care from Natural Lawn. I highly recommend Natural Lawn to keep your lawn beautiful, healthy, without compromising safety and sustainability. More at naturalawn.com.
This is Gregory Rich from Habitation Furnishing and Design and Drink in the Style. You may not realize it, but a trained, skilled interior designer can not just beautify your space, they can functionify it as well. I don't know if that's a word, but it is a thing. So why not check out habitationdesign.com and see if it looks like we're right for you. If it does, give us a call and let's schedule an appointment, in person or virtually, to make your home exceptional. habitationdesign.com. Have you heard about the District Edina? Well, if you haven't, you're in for a treat. The District Edina is the Twin Cities' newest and most exciting destination for all things home design and remodeling. If you're looking for flooring or window treatments, furnishings, a builder to handle a remodel or an addition, kitchen or bath work, or even original fine art, you will find it at the District Edina. The District Edina, 7777 Washington Avenue South, and online at, wait for it, thedistrictedina.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of 48, then sunny Thursday with a high of 75. Latunji's Palette is a social enterprise business built with purpose and fortified with love. Discover the best peach cobbler in the world at Latunji's Palette, 1400 Park Avenue South in Minneapolis. Visit the website at latunjispalette.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Jeff has been holding forever. He's in Cambridge. Welcome on in, Jeff.
Yeah, Matt. I've called you probably 10, 15 times over the years, and I have to disagree with you. I usually agree with you.
Okay.
But on the Tucker Carlson thing, this one tweet or message, email, whatever it was that they're claiming was the cause of his getting fired, I can't believe that. He said many things that have been much worse, I'm sure, over the years. I think what this was one of two things. One, it was a situation where they're going to cut their losses because there's more cases coming down the pike. And they'll say that, well, we got rid of Carlson, and so, we've done something. The other thing that I think I read one message about this on the New York Times page where this was talked about. And one of the writers said, well, it wasn't that Carlson showed that he was racist. It's in part of it, he actually kind of says, well, maybe I shouldn't be this way. And that was probably what ticked off the Fox Press, too. And we can't have anybody looking like they feel guilty for being a racist.
Well, now, and did you hear, by the way, Jeff, did you hear Jeff Stein's comment? He said it was when he went after the Murdochs, that's a very believable thing too. I'm not saying,
I agree.
I'm not saying you're wrong. As a matter of fact, you could very easily be right. I looked at that statement, that text, because remember what it was is all of a sudden some of these text messages came to light, and it was the board was like, what? Why didn't you tell us all this stuff? And, in that one specifically, I understand he tried to say, hey, I'm going to put some fake piety out here and say that's not really who I am. But if you read that whole thing, he was borderline sheet and burning cross at that point. And I think that's why, there are some things that even I understand what they're appealing to with Fox News and who the crowd that they want to watch. But even they can't hold that out there and hold any level of integrity left. Sure, OAN and Newsmax might be able to, but not Fox.
I will have to agree to disagree because
no problem.
I can't I think he's just said enough things that are probably worse that this shouldn't have been a problem.
And then there's the creepy stuff about wanting to make out with M&Ms. I don't know what that's all about, but I like M&Ms.
Yeah.
They're tasty. I don't really have that kind of weirdness to me. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate the phone call. 952-946-6205. I have never looked, Patrick, have you ever looked at a candy? We'll just go beyond the M&Ms. Has there been any candy of your choice that you said, you know what? I want to have sex with that. Anything?
Maybe a Milky Way. I'm just
no. Those Reese's peanut butter cups, they're just asking for it. Nope. It sounds, that's I'm not like opening up the vault and there's like 4,000 Snickers bars and I'm Scrooge McDucking it into there. No, that's not happening. Okay. I just created a new verb, Scrooge McDucking. All right, there you go. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Let's talk about, as I talked about the Republicans and they're over the edge, I think one of the things that really has sent them over, I think there's a lot of things that are sending them over. The paid family leave is so trouble for them. And this is one of the reasons why I'm just enjoying the screams, is that if you look at the numbers for this, 85% of people think that there should be paid family leave. 85%. It is overwhelming how many people want to have paid family leave. And as a matter of fact, it almost gets to a point, it's like, okay, so how in the world does something that has 85% of approval rate not get passed even when Republicans are in charge? Well, because the Republicans are paid by that 15%, which is actually probably more like 8 or 9%, who basically don't want that in place to not make sure it never gets put into place. Same thing with gun laws. That's how 80 to 90% of people want common sense gun regulation. Republicans have stopped it across the board. Even in Republican states, they are overwhelming majorities that want common sense gun regulations. Republicans basically are just doing the bidding of a small portion of the population. And they know it. And there's a real big tell in this story I'm going to get to here. There's a really big tell that comes up here that tells you how much they know they're beaten on this. Because as I pointed out in the last segment when I was saying that, if you're going to run on the idea of we're going to get rid of paid family leave, good luck, because once this passes, it's going to be wildly popular. Wildly popular. Minnesota workers could be able to take up to 12 weeks of paid family leave and 12 weeks of medical leave under a closely watched bill that passed a House on a largely party line vote on Tuesday. The bill, House File 2, would bring Minnesota in line with all high wealth nations and 11 other states that ensure workers have paid time off to care for newborns, help sick family members, or recover from serious illness or injuries. At the heart of this bill is a recognition of our universal humanity, said Representative Ruth Richardson. And by the way, can I say this? I don't think I interviewed Ruth Richardson last year in Democrat of the Day, but I think back in 2018, I did interview her. She was bringing up paid family leave back then. I mean, this has been a near and dear to her heart thing. A recognition that some point in our lives, we or our loved ones are going to need time to bond, to heal, to recover, or to navigate providing care for a loved one. 100%. The benefit would be available to workers beginning July of 2025 and would be funded through payroll taxes on employers and workers. It would be administered through the state's Department of Employment and Economic Development, like unemployment insurance. Studies show that that paid parental leave is associated with a host of positive outcomes, including lower rates of infant mortality, higher rates of breastfeeding, overall better health for mothers and children. Paid medical leave may also improve health outcomes and provide an economic safety net for workers who are recovering from serious illnesses like cancer or caring for a sick family member. Paid family medical leave has broad support among the vast majority of the public, although Democrats and Republicans are divided on how generous the benefit should be and who should be foot the bill. Now, I just read that. I said Democrats and Republicans are divided. Republicans are new to this. They have been stopping this across the board. So this idea in the story of the Republicans if they had to say, if they had to control the Senate, they had to control the House, they'd be killing these bills. They wouldn't even have votes for them because they know that if it gets out there, they don't want to go on the record and vote because 85% of the population wants this. So this is anything when you're talking about Republicans, this is new. And you're going to be surprised at how exactly new it is. I'll get to that in a second. Under the Democratic proposal, Minnesotans would be able to take up to 12 weeks of leave to recover from a pregnancy or a serious health condition, up to 12 weeks of leave to bond with a newborn or care for a family member. Workers would not be able to take more than 18 weeks of family and medical leave combined in a single year unless they had a serious pregnancy complications. The bill has drawn enthusiastic support from unions, progressive faith groups, the AARP, small businesses represented by the Main Street Alliance, and fierce opposition from other business groups, including the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce and the Minnesota Business Partnership. I'm going to give you a quote. This is once again, I want to remind people that up until this year, Republicans were preventing these bills from even getting a vote or getting hearings, public hearings on this stuff. That these were persona non grata bills. That there's no way in the planet they were going to allow something like this to get voted on and enacted while they had a say in things. That's why we're talking about it now. The DFL's in full charge. Here is Lisa DeMuth, a Republican from Cold Spring. It's not about whether Minnesotans should have some sort of paid family benefit. As Republicans, we fully agree with that. What? What? This is the sobering up moment. The reality that this is going to get passed, and the people who have prevented this from getting passed for years, all like, hey, wait a minute here. Where did you ever get the idea we were against this, even though we never put forward a bill to try to pass this stuff? Oh my God. We fully agree with that. As Republicans, we fully agree with that. Wow. What we're differing in is how we get there, how it's going to be affordable and work for all Minnesotans. Republicans' own version. Okay. Are you prepared? So how long do you think the Republicans who, once again, according to Lisa DeMuth, a Republican of Cold Springs, as Republicans, we fully agree with that. How long do you think the Republicans have had their version of a paid family leave bill in the works? I mean, how many times, how long, when was maybe not in the works, but when did they introduce it to the public? Was it earlier this year? Was it in past sessions? Did I just miss it? No, it was yesterday. In a sign that the Republicans know that this is going to pass, they themselves have come up with a really crappy bill on this. I'll get to that in a second. Republicans' own version of the paid family medical leave, which they introduced yesterday, would give tax incentives to small businesses to enroll in an insurance program administered by a private company selected by the state. Workers would be able to receive up to 67% of their wages for up to 12 weeks per year. Republicans boast that the program won't increase taxes and it isn't a one-size-fits-all mandate because enrolling in the coverage would be voluntary. So wait a second here. You're saying it would be this would be administered by a private company. So it'd be one plan administered by a private company, and you're saying it's not a one-size-fits-all. Their argument that it's not a one-size-fits-all is either you do it through the one plan that we tell you do it through, or you don't do it at all. So you can date the guy with all the acne, or you can stay at home. It's your call. Oh, Johnny Pimples, here I come. Sorry. And by the way, I say that as a man who looked like a freaking Pizza Hut when I was a kid. Okay, so let's just be done with it. If the business decided to not carry the paid family leave, medical leave, an employee could purchase a coverage on their own for $5 per week, which I don't understand the mathematics behind that. Republican Dave Baker, Wilmer, who once again, Republicans have fought against paid family leave for many years. This is a really good deal. It's not forcing something down someone's throat. Once again, it's one plan or they don't have a plan at all. Richardson, the Republican plan wouldn't change the status quo that low-income workers, people of color, and rural residents are the least likely to have paid time off. I'm coming back to that here. Caring for yourself shouldn't be about luck. Caring for your loved ones shouldn't be about luck. Richardson said, I just want to have the most inclusive leave policy that's not leaving people out because of the types of jobs that they're in. Roughly 75% of workers in Minnesota didn't have access to paid leave benefits in 2021, according to the Minnesota Department of Employment. 75%. Now, why are the Republicans pushing this plan? The same Republicans who are right now screaming, this will bankrupt the state. Goodbye, businesses. They're all going to leave. The same people who said, if you raise the minimum wage, there's not going to be a restaurant in the state. How'd that work out? Oh, that's right. They were completely and totally pulling that out of their backside. Let me explain what really they want to do. This isn't about the metro area. This is not even about the suburbs or Duluth, Rochester, St. Cloud, Moorhead. It's not Mankato. It's not. It's about the small town. So let's say that we pass this Republican bill. And in this Republican bill, that there's a small town out there that hires 50 workers. They make T-shirts. And the guy there says, you know what? I'm going to sign up and I'm going to be part of this paid family leave. And we're going to give our workers the paid family leave. All of a sudden, they get a phone call from, hi there, Jim Bob. It's Elwin. I need to talk with you tomorrow. Can we swing on by? Sure. So all of a sudden, the next day, not only is Jim Bob met by Elwin, but a whole contingent of local leaders who need to make sure he understands how much they don't appreciate him buying into that liberal namby-pamby parent state by basically taking advantage of their Republican bill and offering paid family leave in this community. Jim Bob, you're making us all look bad. We're not offering this. I mean, you think we should be responsible for paying our workers for time off? How crazy you think it is? Those people don't deserve that. I'm the wealthy person. They're my employees. They don't like it. They can leave. That's what they'll say. And this will be a strong arm to Jim Bob, Billy Jim, or whatever that guy's name is. And they'll basically strong arm him into basically preventing him from offering that locally in the rural community because they're terrified that if someone gets it, all of a sudden it's like, wow, I wish I could get a job over there at the T-shirt factory. They offer paid family leave. I work for Gloomy Gus over here, and he doesn't even pay me enough to where I can afford an extra $5 per week. And see, that is what the whole purpose of the Republican bill is that through local pressure, they'll prevent any small business from taking advantage of this in these communities because that's just the way we do things out here. No, by far, the winning solution is from Ruth Richardson, hands down, hands down. And Democrats, don't be afraid of winning. Pass this bill and watch these Republicans scream, oh, delicious, like gravy on top of potatoes. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll wrap up the show when I do return. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Hello, this is Ellie Krug with Ellie 2.0 Radio. Now my show will be on Saturdays from 10 to 11 and replayed on Sundays from 1 to 2. You will get to the best of Ellie 2.0 with talking about idealism, with guests who come in and who are idealistic, who are trying to change the world, and you will get me, Super Idealist. Tune in. We can't wait to hear from you, and you'll hear from me Saturdays from 10 to 11.
No matter if you're eating out or cooking something at home, eatlocalminnesota.com has you covered with a list of locally owned restaurants and food purveyors. Many restaurants offer carry-out and delivery, while food purveyors can help you make your next meal delicious. Latunji's Palette is a social enterprise built with purpose and fortified with love. Indulge in the world's best peach cobbler, gourmet desserts, vegan and gluten-free options, sandwiches, and coffee drinks. Located at 1400 Park Avenue South in Minneapolis. Plus, find Latunji's gourmet desserts at Lunds and Byerly's at the North Market, Minneapolis Farmers Market Annex, and Bobby and Steve's. More at latunjispalette.com. Explore the award-winning spirited Midwestern flavors at 30 Bales in Hopkins. Priding themselves as a scratch kitchen using the cleanest, most local ingredients they can source, join 30 Bales for lunch, dinner, or their scrumptious weekend brunch. Conveniently located at 1106 Main Street in Hopkins with plenty of free parking. See their menu at 30bales.com.
I'm Angela Warner for Warner Stellian. Sometimes appliances break. Other times you spend years wishing they would. We get it. That's why right now we're paying you to upgrade with our trade-in sale. We'll pay you $50 for each appliance you replace. Our in-store specialists take out the guesswork of wondering what's the best one and which one will fit. Then Warner Stellian professional crews will deliver, install, and take your old stuff away, saving you time and money. So outsource your stress and shop family-owned Warner Stellian.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. In the final minutes here, I got my choice of nightmarish Republican stories. I'll pass on this one. I'll just mention this. So 3 McDonald's franchise operators were fined a total of $212,000 after investigators found 305 children under 16 working longer than legally permitted, and 2 10-year-olds working unpaid at 62 locations across 4 states. Yeah, welcome to the Republican world, man. Child labor. I think that's good. They're teaching them things. 10-year-olds working until 2 in the morning. 2 in the morning. 10-year-olds. Disturbing. I'll finish out though with the legalized sports gambling in Minnesota, which basically looked like it's dead. Senator Matt Klein's trying to bring it back at the 11th hour here. Basically, what it is the same thing we mentioned. That the sports teams, the casinos, the Native American casinos, the sports teams, and for the most part, the DFL seems to be on board with legalizing it as long as it's only at casinos. Republicans have, for some bizarre reason, the people who have been screaming the most about wanting to legalize sports betting are insisting it has to happen at the true racetracks. Is it Running Aces and Canterbury Down? I think of the two. So that it is so, and they basically have said we'll torpedo this bill until those two are included. Well, the sports teams don't want them included, which I think is a big thing right there. Native American casinos, let them have it. I could care less. I love a good sports book, by the way, a good sandwich, not because I like to gamble, but because I love just going into any place and they have every game on. I just love that. It's great fun. But, so they're making an amendment where some of the money raised from the legalization of sports gambling would go to the tracks for an improvement fund. Whether that's enough, I don't know. But the reality is can I just say this? I get sports gambling is going to be relatively everywhere. I mean, there'll be apps, there'll be all sorts of things. I'm not quite sure why this is the line in the sand for the Republicans that people have to be able to go to a sports book in one of these tracks. I personally find it, considering one of the few things the Native Americans have been able to have are the casinos, I kind of find it somewhat upsetting that they're so insistent that this has to be yanked away from them. I find that that'd be very upsetting. it's not like there's only one casino. In Native American casinos, they're all across the state. So it'd be pretty much available to everybody. I think that this, I'm not quite sure. I'm still, by the way, I'm not necessarily on side of this. I've already talked about many times about my feelings on Vice, but it looks like it's going to get approved. But if it doesn't get approved, I want people to make sure you understand the people who stopped it were the Republicans. They're the ones who stopped it. Native Roots Radio is up in the 6. We are back tomorrow. Till then, see ya.
Check out the award-winning Hazel's Northeast in Minneapolis on the corner